male leopard came up here. Good morning. Hello everybody. I hope you're all very well, wherever you happen to find yourselves on this Monday morning. It's obviously not Monday morning for all of you. For some it's Monday evening, still in the Western Hemisphere. My name is Jomez Hendrai, and on camera today we've got Gerrit, who's not giving you his thumb this morning. He's greeting you spiritually this morning. Welcome to the Sunrise Safari. We're trawling the western fringes of Djuma this morning, hoping for some leopards. We've had male leopard tracks and female leopard tracks, but no leopards yet. Please do talk to us for the course of the drive. You can do that on Twitter using the hashtag WildEarth. Otherwise, you can register on the website, wildearth.tv, and send questions that way. And if you are under 18 and would like to send a question, we would love to have your questions, and you can send those to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That is the administration of the day done. I'm on drive this morning with Liam, and he is going towards the east, but he'll tell you all about that. I think Chris is going to join us at Pridelands when it probably brightens up slightly. There are some Franklin's alarm calling down there, and we had female leopard tracks heading into that region. It is a very thick region of Djuma. In other words, there are a lot of bushes in that area. We'll drive around, see what we can pick up, but it is a very blustery, cool, kind of cloudy morning, which often means things are quite quiet. But maybe we will be lucky. Tally-ho, here we go. I'd say it's probably sitting at around about 16 degrees Celsius, 61 Fahrenheit, which, look, on a scale of winters, is really not very cold at all. Just turning up the game drive radio so I can hear what wonders have been found elsewhere. Oh! An elephant has been walking along here, dragging his feet. And there is our first animal of the day. A herd of impala standing behind a lot of bushes. Very exciting. And you can hear a pearl-spotted owl calling. We are now going to cue what are known as weather graphics. I'm not sure what those are, but here they come.
My name is Liam Burrow. I'm very, very happy to be back with you all here on WildEarth today. Of course, the man behind the lens on this glorious morning is Panda. And yeah, we are up on Buffelshoek Cutline, having a bit of a look around this morning for any fresh signs of really anything at all. Maybe we will get lucky with some sign of one of our territorial leopards or a little bit of lion activity. Trying to be nice and thorough in terms of scanning for tracks, and also wherever possible listening out for any sounds that may give us an indication of where it might be. Yeah, I'm also finding feet after about a month off, so trying to get back into the swing of things. So I think with signal a little bit up and down at the moment here on Buffelshoek Cutline, we're going to link over to James, see what he's up to, and maybe touch base with you in a couple more minutes.
Huge distance since last you saw us. We are still looking, well, for anything really, but ideally for leopards. We had a lovely Father's Day yesterday evening, and this week we are going to be focusing apparently on males, if we can find them.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
So what we'll be looking for is a leopard, possibly on the hunt, possibly on the territorial mark. The bush is still quite thick, so any leopard looking around will need to seek vantage. They'll do that by climbing up a tree, or most likely climbing up a termite mound and doing this. Although, in honesty, I've never seen a leopard do that. Just imagined it. I'm going to drive relatively quickly to where the game path along here pops out on this road. I think this is a comment from Piggy. Hello, Piggy. You say good morning from, I think we're going to have to get this again. It sounded like from Piggy's Be Amazing. Billy, right, Billy, hello, yes, good morning to you, Billy. Not Piggy, but Billy. Billy. Okay, I got it. I got it now, I got it. Now, it was around here that I would have expected the telltale flash of a leopard's white tail to be flicking through the grass. She puts up her flag of truce to the birds that are shouting at her presence. Let's slow down and scan more carefully here. The trouble with leopards, of course, is that they are, well, basically designed not to be seen. Have a look on the road. A couple of jennet tracks. Not going to try and track a jennet. Right, Chris has managed to find his way out onto Pridelands, so let's go across to him and find out what he's going to be looking for.
Some fresh, very, very fresh buffalo tracks here. And I reckon we're going to try and see if we cannot find them. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris. Hippo is yet again on cam-ops this morning. And we're still with the vehicle. It's right over here. We're not yet walking. Just driving around to see if there's something we can try and find. And there's one track back there. There's one here. There's at least 2 of them here. And then there's another one over here as well. At least 4. What appears to be Dugger boys, buffalo bulls. Now, if we look at this dung, that's soft. Look at that. That is very soft. So I don't think we are too far behind them. And I've even brought the buffalo stick today so that we can actually see if it's going to bring us some buffalo luck. That's right. That's going to be our first plan for the morning, to try and find these buffaloes. Not too keen to try and track them on foot yet. I know they're heading into the Marula drainage, and I know it's very dense there. So it's not the greatest place to track buffalo bulls. If it's a big herd, not a problem. Hi there, Kerry wants to know what gives the dung that candy coating. Let's go back to the dung and take a look. Right, so basically, if we open up the dung, you can see all the partially fermented and digested grass. Right, so that candy coating that you have outside, which you find with most mammals, it's basically all, I just refer to it as bacterial husks. So it's all digested flagellates. So it's all bacteria, protozoa, fungi and so forth. So that's the remains of those microfauna and flora that in fact ferment the grass for the buffalo, and they in turn at a later stage gets digested, and they are turned into amino acids, and that's how the animal from grass creates protein in their body. They resynthesize those amino acids back into proteins. But yeah, you can pretty much refer to it as bacterial husk. Right, let's see where these tracks are going. It is relatively open here, so we can just get an idea of where they're going to. So you can see there. Just check nicely, eh?
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwise Field Guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
See some tracks here. Now, even in cold weather like this, buffaloes will still wallow in mud, as mud is not only a means for them to cool down, but it's predominantly a way to get rid of parasites, ticks, fleas, etc. Okay, we're going to investigate. You know, I love to investigate things. So let's go over to Liam in the meantime to see what he's up to.
So great to be touching base with Chris there in Pridelands. I hope he's having a nice walk this morning. Hopefully a couple of nice encounters and a few more small things out in the bush for him. Our mission to check our northern and eastern boundaries continues here at Juma in the Sabi Sands. Nothing to speak of just yet. And we've seen a little bit of general game, heard some nice bird calls, but still looking out for any sign of the big stuff. Yeah, it's not quite as cold as I was expecting this morning. I packed gloves and scarves and all sorts of things. I'm expecting frigid temperatures in the bush, but we've actually got a lovely layer of quite dense cloud that I think protected us last night. Almost acting like a blanket, keeping all of the heat that the earth absorbed yesterday in. Yeah, so not uncomfortable as far as mornings go. We are all warm and caffeinated and ready to start the day. I hope I heard your name correctly there. If that was Bev, I had a wonderful break. Thank you very much for asking. Spent it at home with family and managed to do a little bit of flying as well, which makes me very happy. But yeah. Oh, Deb, my apologies. Thanks for your question there, Deb, short for Debbie. So yeah, happy to be back out in the bush, where I belong, and hopefully I've brought a bit of luck with me.
My name is Solomon Lobu. I am working at Singita Kruger National Park. I am very excited today to be one of the guys that have been nominated or selected to participate in the Safari Guide of the Year. I'm an activator. I like starting something, motivating others to become better. I am positive. I like to focus on the positive sides of the situation.
Here at WildEarth, we promised great monthly prizes for our explorers, and this month is no exception. If you join our club before the 10th of July, then you stand a chance to win a fabulous Safari Guide online course brought to you by Bushwise Field Guides. They specialize in accredited Safari Guide training with courses tailored for the African safari large industry. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer today and don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
Lover, thanks very much for your question there. I think lumber would make me very happy this morning. Yeah, I think definitely one of my favorites. I think it would brighten up my morning and hopefully a few of your mornings as well at home. So let's see what we can do. Just got another vehicle passing us there. Morning, Uncle. Morning, everyone. So yeah, there is a little bit more traffic in the area this morning, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. More eyes out there scanning the bush. Obviously only increasing our potential to get sightings. So while Panda and I continue to figure things out up here in the northeast of the Djuma property, let's head back over to James to see how his morning is going.
We have come off towards the south central regions. Haven't found any further tracks, but the main thing, or my main intention today, was to come along here because I heard lions roaring in this particular region during the course of my coffee this morning, roughly 3 sips in at about 0500. Now, I just want to have a look at this spider's web. Now, the main reason is not because I'm a particularly enthusiastic arachnomologist, arachnophile. It's simply because I want to have a bit of a listen to what's going on. I'm sure many of you have seen the community nest spider before. What I'm going to do is see if I can coax the females out by tapping on this. I don't think we will be able to because it is still quite cold, but I also want to tell you a story, a personal experience of mine that was deeply touching in the worst possible way. I was driving along with some guests during a WildEarth expedition last year, and I was holding forth as I am doing now. While standing in the vehicle, we were looking for leopards off-road, and the people there were 5 women we were with, and their faces suddenly went very pale, and I didn't really understand why they'd gone pale, and I looked around just in time to receive something roughly this size in my mouth. It landed in my mouth and exploded, and little spiders crawled out all over my head, down my shirt, into my, well, just every part of my clothing was filled with tiny little spiders. And, I mean, I'm not particularly afraid of spiders, so I didn't scream and shout. I definitely did a lot of that sort of thing. But the 5 women that I was accompanying let out screams of horror and terror that woke a number of dead creatures from the area, and hyenas came to check what was going on, lions came to find out if there was a kill or something. Such was the distress expressed in the voices of the people I was with. That's my story for the morning. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I was going to put this under my bum. And then we shall press on to the southern boundary.
We protect and reconnect nature across southern Africa. We bring countries together to care for wild spaces that stretch beyond borders. We protect and restore biodiversity. We prioritize the people living in these landscapes, enabling them to thrive in harmony with nature. We are restoring tomorrow.
But time will tell. We'll see if we don't get lucky on the southern boundary, perhaps. Why, Keisha, I've got no idea how many eggs a female spider lays, and that's because there are so many thousands of different spider species that I think it would be impossible to give an answer. I can say that they are most likely what we call R-selectors, which means that it's an old ecological term, which basically means an animal or an organism will lay far more eggs than will ever survive. So their strategy is to produce thousands more offspring than could ever survive, and that's to account for those that are going to either not hatch or those that will be eaten by predators. So lots and lots and lots is the answer, but that answer doesn't really help you if you wanted actual numbers. Something like a black widow, the button spiders, which actually guard their webs with the eggs in them. They make those little egg sacs. Probably lay far fewer than something like I'm just trying to think of a spider that lays a lot of eggs. Maybe jumping spiders. No, jumping spiders also make little relatively small cocoons. So, yeah, it's difficult to say. I'd say hundreds per individual. Definitely far more than will survive. But what you don't realize is how many spiders there are. And you realize it on a misty morning when the sun is just at the right angle, just as it's come up. And you can look in every single tree, on all the grass plants, on all the little flowering plants. You'll see little signs of silk, which are all made by spiders. And there are millions of them all over the place, thousands of different species, many of which have yet to be described by science. They're a remarkably successful and diverse group of invertebrates are the spiders. Elephant track departing Djuma. We're now on the southern boundary, heading towards the east. We will cut back up towards the north once I'm certain that the lions have not crossed onto Djuma. If you are perhaps a new viewer and do not know what I mean by boundary, well, this is an area known as the Sabi Sands, and the Sabi Sands is made up of a number of different sort of private pockets of land, and there are no physical boundaries between these pockets, but we as human beings must respect human property rights in the area, and so we can't cross, the animals can. Joy, you're wondering how spiders avoid inbreeding. I don't think they give it a second thought. In fact, I don't think they give anything much of a thought at all. It is avoided by them dispersing widely when they're born. So you've heard of ballooning. A lot of spider species do some ballooning, where the young spiderlings will let out a strand of silk and off they will go. They'll float off on the wind and land somewhere else and hopefully find another spider of the same species. I've no doubt there is inbreeding, quite a lot of it, but because the amount of breeding is so much, I suspect that the effects of inbreeding are very limited. Hyena or leopard? Okay. I'm just going to quickly go back a little bit here.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Have you seen any leopards? He's not answering us. He's chewing his cud. not much sound except for that of the wind and the buzzing of a power cable up above us. It's quite loud. All right, let's roll gently down the hill. I was once again struck when I was in East Africa by how much bigger the horns are on East African impala. No idea why that should be the case, other than sort of regional sexual selection which could have occurred in the dim mists of history. But they really do have much, much bigger horns than the Southern African variety. Christina, no, some animal species absolutely don't have camouflage. They actively want to be seen, and normally because their coloration is a warning. So a good example is the monarch butterfly, which is orange and black, and that's a warning to any potential predators that it is toxic. So that's one example. Another example would be something like a striped polecat or zorilla, which is similar to a skunk, and they are very obviously colored black and white, and that's a warning coloration to any potential predators. A little bit like a honey badger, although a honey badger, if it hunkers down in the grass, can be camouflaged. So no, not all animals are camouflaged. A lot of invertebrates do display very bright warning coloration. Birds, a lot of bird species display very bright coloration, which could not be described in any way as camouflage. There's this very strong smell of elephant dung. Distinct lack of elephants, but there definitely don't seem to be any lions crossing north onto Djuma. It was around here that Shasha was yesterday evening with Ali. In fact, it was exactly here. So we'll have a tour about here and see what we can find while you go across to the northeast corner of Djuma where Liam is looking for Tlalamba.
Nice static thing just to have a listen. So, Panda and myself have found ourselves up on Gwari Loop this morning. We are, I think, just going to sit a little bit still for a minute or two and see if we can hear any sounds from the bush. There's a Buffelshoek Dam giving us a hand to try and scratch around for what looks like Tlalamba and cubs. Somebody reported fresh scat as well as the fresh tracks that I saw a little bit earlier. So maybe our leading lady is out here somewhere. She must be.
Stations on that Djuma Misikaya, and it is active. One and Fuzzy.
Yeah, always nice to stop.
Back on my vehicle, the tracks for Tlalamba crosses Buffelshoek Dam wall, and at the northern side of the dam, she crosses northwest into the Shatin. We're still following up here.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to bushwise field guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
So very calm, very still in the bush this morning. The odd bird call here or there, but I think everything taking a little bit of extra time to get up and get ready today. So while we wait activity, I think Panda and I will probably start to continue on our mission. Hopefully, with some luck, we can come across Tlalamba out there somewhere. Darcy Miller, I heard your comment there. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Incredible to see how the shifting seasons have already altered the conditions out here in the bush. Even in the 25 to 30 odd days that I've been away, the amount of sort of foliage of actual leaves that the trees have lost, and even the way the grass has largely wilted and started to die back. Yeah, that's inevitable though. Lots of visual changes. With the absence of rain and the shortening of the days. Less light means less growth. So once again, I'm sorry I haven't heard your name there, but thanks very much for your question. I did hear the majority of it there. So a panther is quite a loose term that refers to lots of big cats, I believe. So if you look at the Kipling story, The Jungle Book, I think it was Bagheera was referred to as a black panther. Panther basically just means large cat. But a black leopard is certainly something that you can see. We get black jaguar as well, not here, but in South America. What that actually is melanism. So an excess of black pigment in the genetic proliferation of that animal. It is a very rare recessive gene, but yeah, phenomenal. It does happen out in nature. It's basically not a different species, but just a genetic mutation of a species. So it can't happen to a lion, to my knowledge, can't happen to a tiger, but a lion or a tiger could be born white, where a leopard could go black. There was even a number of years ago in, I believe, the KwaZulu-Natal province, a phenomenal report of what people started to call the strawberry leopard. That's worth a Google if you haven't already seen it. It was a leopard where all of the black pigmentation in the skin was absent, and that was replaced by like almost a reddish, like pinkish hue. A really, really unique individual, the strawberry leopard. I'm sure there's a more scientific term for it.
Hello everyone from sunny Namibia. My name is Cameron Pierce and this year I'll be representing Ongava Game Reserve at the Safari Guide of the Year 2022 edition. You know, a lot of people have asked me what it would be like to win the competition, and it would obviously be an incredible privilege, but even just to be selected as one of the 5 finalists is an honor that I never expected, and special to be a part of it for this year.
My name is Liam Henderson. I'm a guide at the Homestead Lodge on Nambiti Private Game Reserve in KwaZulu-Natal. I think Safari Guide of the Year is a great competition to be a part of. I'm somewhat nervous for the tracking part of the competition, as being in KZN now, haven't been exposed to the low-felt animals and tracks and signs that are so apparent up there.
So, yes, thank you very much for your question. It is wonderful to see all of the changes in the scenery based on the season. I've always found the dry season perhaps a little bit less prolific than the wet, but I guess it's all a matter of perspective. By less prolific, I mean in terms of sightings. A lot of people say that once the vegetation dies back, it is easier to actually see in, to get better scope into the actual bush, to spot wildlife, which would normally be obscured by dense grass, thick vegetation. But I don't know, I've had some pretty incredible sightings through the summer, and we certainly operate out on safari through the dry season as well. I miss the summer though. I like it lush and green. I like the sun, I like the butterflies, all the reptiles. But there is life out there, life to be found. So I think let's cross over to Chris back in Pridelands to see what he is actually up to this morning. Hope his walk is going well. I'm sure it is.
Just an update on our buffalo bulls. Still no tracks coming out of that block, so we suspect that they are inside that Marula drainage. Very dense there, so I'm not going to walk around there yet. Either give them time to come out into more open area if possible. Also, in this type of overcast, breezy, cool weather, they'll often lie down in very thick bush. So the thing is, if you encounter them, it will be very close range. And old buffalo bulls, that's not something you want to do. They are not going to be happy with that. So what I can suggest we try and do is to get onto the ridge, perhaps try and look down with the binoculars if we can't see them. And then if that doesn't work, then it's time. Time will be our only tool there. We'll have to wait for them to move out into a more favorable area.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Thought that they're down there. Other than that, nothing else moving. It's quite quiet this morning. Yesterday we had the same, and then we had that leopard. Well, we haven't had any sun yet because we've got clouds, but it seems like Liam might have some. Let's go over to him and see what he's up to.
So we have found ourselves once again up on the dam wall here at Buffelshoek Dam, which has got maybe 6 or 7 hippos in it. I don't think I have ever viewed more than about 2 in this waterhole, so that's really wonderful. Quite a bit of activity. We had a Cheetah Plains vehicle cross over the dam wall, and this big bull was porpoising all over the place, doing that incredible blowhole thing like a whale. Yeah, we've been chatting a lot in the last couple of days with regards to the role of a male in the population. Now, the role of a dominant male hippo is particularly crucial to the function of a little hippo family. He's not necessarily all that much of an affectionate parent. He's probably not likely to hurt his own kids, but he's also not likely to show them much kindness. However, his function is in defending the entire habitat from other bulls. Other bulls may commit siblicide, or rather infanticide, to kill the juveniles. So as protector, as defender of this territory, he keeps the youngsters and all of the cows safe, and that makes him a very good dad. Lots of interesting behavior going on here. It's lovely to see hippos so active. Alicia, good morning, and thank you for taking the time to submit your question. It's always nice to hear from our younger viewers as well, and we do encourage you to keep sending your questions through. Alicia, I'm not 100% sure what bumps you are referring to. I'm presuming you're talking about the bumps on their head. They've got some sort of knobbly bits kind of at the back of the skull. Those don't really serve too much of a purpose to my knowledge. Maybe a point where muscle on their neck and their jaw is actually anchored. A sagittarial crest, if you will. And then you have the sort of bumps a little bit further forward where their eyes are, and then a bit further down their nostrils as well. So a little bit like a crocodile, a hippo has evolved with eyes, ears, and nostrils, all in pretty much a horizontal line, a flat line. That means it can keep its entire body in the water, but at the same time still be able to breathe, be able to look around, and be able to listen. So Alicia, thanks for that question, a great one. I hope I answered it properly.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to bushwise field guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
Nice to be listening to some bird song. Butterfly, I have to agree with you there. There's something quite refreshing about being sat around water. It is a powerful thing. Very nice. And water is life. I've always found enormous pleasure, enormous happiness in spending time attract a lot of life. Even sat up here on the dam wall now, other than these marvelous hippos, we're listening to the calls of a lot of birds. Many birds will be coming in for a drink to begin their day. Yeah, and who knows what else may pop along here as the day goes. I believe tracks for the Kalamba female leopard and her cubs also crossed over this dam wall here somewhere. So, yeah, water points will always be successful as places to see interesting things on a safari. I don't know though, this water may not be super refreshing though, and if you were ever hard pressed out in the bush, feeling very thirsty, it might not be such an appetizing place to come in and quench your thirst. Hippo essentially spend the entire day defecating in this water, and in a standing pool like this, even though it is deep, with 7 or 8 hippos in it, it will very rapidly become quite stagnant, pretty toxic. Yeah, certainly a stinky place to be. For now, though, it doesn't look too bad. It is looking lovely and fresh. So I think now let's cross over to James to see what part of the reserve he's actually exploring at the moment and see what signs of life he's come across on his adventures so far.
Righty, we are now on the southern boundary. In fact, we're still on the southern boundary, but since you last saw us on the southern boundary, we have gone off the southern boundary and then back onto the southern boundary where you now find us. And in case you're wondering, we are on the southern boundary. We went to have a look at Chitwa Chitwa because we heard some lions going roar, roar, roar. They're in a place we can't see them. So sadly, we're not going to be able to have a look at the lions just yet. So now we are going back onto Djuma and we're going to continue our search for, well, whatever we can find really. It's one of those mornings where I find that there are lots of options and not a huge amount of success. Hopefully that will change shortly. And everything will come running towards us as opposed to us seeking them out.
My name is Nico Brits. I am originally from Cape Town. I worked in the Eastern Cape for about 9 years before I started working at Bushwise Field Guides in the Lowveld. Close to Makalali Private Game Reserve. So I'm hoping that by doing this could inspire the younger or newer guides coming into the industry to do the same.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruwan Groble. I'm from Lion Sands Game Reserve, and being nominated for the Safari Guide of the Year came as somewhat of a surprise to me. I was very excited and quite nervous as well in the beginning to tackle this task. But it's quite a prestigious event, and it means that you are recognized, and I'm quite happy to be recognized. It means quite a lot to me.
I'm just going to have a quick squiz up here and see. There's a waxbill on the road in front, and where there are waxbills, there are often green-winged pytilias.
Can I get a standby as well, please? Yeah. Guys, we are on Little Gary driveway. I can't believe that unless I can try to keep it out for you.
No green-winged pytilias. Anyway, on we go. Well, there it is. Well, now this is very advanced camera work I'm asking Kara to do here, because to find a green-winged pytilia in amongst the foliage of this Spirostachys africanus tree is going to be tricky, to say the least. There's a crombeck. That's the crombeck that we're zooming in on now. That's great. Long-billed crombeck. Very cool. See, it has no tail. Eric, you're wondering if all birds feed on the ground. No, a lot of birds don't feed on the ground. Many. Albatrosses come to mind. So do swifts and swallows and falcons. No, I mean lots and lots of birds feed on the wing or in trees. A lot of these birds are gleaning. So what they're doing is going almost as a group through the foliage of these trees, and some of them will land every so often, but most of them will stay in the trees and walk in amongst the leaves, sort of hop in amongst the leaves and pick off invertebrates that they find feeding there. Lots and lots of different birds going on here. Now, if you haven't, or if I haven't described this to you before, you get these bird parties, which are normally sort of multi-species groups of birds that are moving together as they feed, and often the bird party is led, or possibly not led, but most often attended by the southern black tit, which is what you're looking at now. That's very cool. Don't often get a great southern black tit sighting, because they do move around rather enthusiastically.
She was moving south to southwest direction off the new driveway. Thank you, Matt. I'm on my face.
I'm just trying to change the channel. I'm sorry for the noise. I do apologize. Somebody's seen something south of us. Good. That was our little bird party for the morning. Long-billed crombeck, green-winged pietilia, blue waxbill, southern black tit. Fork-tailed drongo as well in there. Good.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Alrighty. Back on Juma. Let's see what we can find this end. It's a rather miserable day from a weather perspective. We're not used to having clouds here in winter at all. It should be clear for 3 months. So while I tour around here, you're going to go back up towards the northeast, where at least there do appear to be some tracks with Liam.
So Panda and myself are back up on Buffelshoek Cutline, following up with 2 other game vehicles, game viewers that are up in this area from 2 other lodges, in the hopes of coming across any sign of the lovely Tlalamba and cubs. Yeah, the feeling is that she is still here somewhere, that she hasn't crossed into Buffelshoek where we cannot drive. But we just want to check properly and make sure that her tracks don't take us back over the cut line. Yeah, I think we're probably going to turn south down Gowrie cut line, start to make our way down towards Gowrie Dam, where the dam cam is, and see if there's any sign of her potentially taking us home. Just bear with us, we are going through a dip. I hope our signal holds out. It can be a bit touch and go in some areas here. Getting some lovely morning sun there. I'm definitely, I think, part reptile. I get a lot of energy from exposure to the sun. I don't think I would function very well in one of those parts of the world that gets sort of winter, dark conditions for weeks and weeks to months and months at a time, somewhere like Alaska. Definitely more of an equatorial species myself. So while we continue to make our way south down Gowrie Cutline now, let's head back over to Chris in Pridelands to see what he has to show us.
My suspicion was 100% right. Now I'm still on that road parallel to Marula Lane. Remember, we checked Marula Lane, didn't see any tracks cross further south, and now we have, actually. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, so let's look, same as the previous. You can see the candy coating still very green, very wet, soft to the touch, very soft indeed. Remember that candy coating hardens very, very quickly. In daytime, even faster. In daytime, within an hour, that will be black and hot and slightly hardened. At nighttime, moisture around it will take a little bit longer. So there is some tracks there. I can hear some oxpeckers up ahead. And earlier we saw oxpeckers flying that way. So this is the time when they get active. They're going to start looking for big herbivores to land on to eat ticks. Anyway, so let's just check for any further evidence of these buffaloes. So we've got a track here. It seems like they were moving along the road here. You see, the thing about tracking is not always to be here. You want to be ahead.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to bushwise field guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
So definitely from the same group of buffaloes. This is even softer. You can see this is very sloppy. So this guy has drank water a while back, therefore the more softer consistency of it. And that's going to become food for all sorts of things. Timothy is asking if that is a new walking stick. Indeed, Timothy. Okay, I did not make this. I do not have that type of skill, but look at how pretty that is. Now, I bought it from a local guy close to Hoedspruit who makes these. Look at the craftsmanship there. And this is from the Tamboti tree, which we obviously have here. Very hard, and you can even smell it. It got that distinct oily, almost lanolin, paraffin-like smell that you will find with Tamboti. Anyway, because we're tracking buffalo today, I thought, this is actually my son's stick. I bought one for Loki, the oldest one, the buffalo, and Robbie, the youngest one. He's got a rhino. He wanted the rhino. So I promised them I'm going to bring one of the sticks with me every time I'm out on safari. A bit of a relic to remember my kids by while I'm not at home. and maybe it'll bring me luck. And thought buffalo, let's see if it does. See if it brings some luck for us today. I still have the other stick. Remember the one with the horn? We know that is my lucky stick, that. There's some more dung over here, guys. Alright, so it looks like we are in the right direction. So we're going to continue. We're going to head back to the car. Same thing. Next block, until we either find them or not. Let's head over to James to see what he's up to.
We have discovered something quite interesting. We discovered some other leopard tracks. It must be boring hearing us continually saying we found tracks and then not seeing the animal, but I promise you that's how it goes out here. But we're in the south of the reserve, and there's a leopard track with a cub as well. And the guys are following fresh tracks of Tlalamba and two cubs up in the northeast. So although Tlalamba does come down here and would bring the cubs down here, I don't know who this is, unless she's done a marathon with those youngsters, and they're from sort of yesterday sometime. Not sure who else might have a cub down in this part of the world. Anyway, we've come back full circle to Treehouse Dam, and we're now going to pop into the hyena den and see who's at home. I suppose it should be called the hyena complex, really, given how many little dens there are in this area. We'll see what we can find. Oh, all right. We'll catch up with you when we get to the hyena den. You're going to go back to Liam.
Okay.
He's gone.
He's gone, okay. So Panda and myself did get a very brief visual of a southern ground hornbill, quite a special bird, a huge hornbill species. But that bird has unfortunately moved straight off into the bush, and we're not going to off-road after him. In the interest of protecting the bush and being gentle in terms of our impact, I think we're going to stick on the road and carry on now. Let's head to the dam to see what's happening down that side. Okay, I think we did get a very brief visual of its head going into the bush, so hopefully you saw if you were watching. Yeah, that's a really special bird species, quite an endangered species.
My name is Solomon Lobu. I am working at Singita Kruger National Park. I am very excited today to be one of the guys that have been nominated to selected to participate in the Safari Guide of the Year. I'm an activator. I like studying something, motivating others to become better. I am positive. I like to focus on the positive sides of the situation.
Here at WildEarth, we promised great monthly prizes for our explorers, and this month is no exception. If you join our club before the 10th of July, then you stand a chance to win a fabulous Safari Guide online course brought to you by Bushwise Field Guides. They specialize in accredited Safari Guide training with courses tailored for the African safari lodge industry. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer today and don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
So just coming up onto the dam wall now here at Gauri Dam. Let's see if there's any signs of life. This is usually a hive of activity, one of my favorite spots on the whole reserve. and a favorite haunt for the Tlalamba female and her youngsters. So we've certainly got a couple more hippos. I see two, at least two. Starting to hear a little bit more bird song as well. Bird life starting to rouse and get a bit more active. But everything, I think, feeling the change of seasons, the nip in the air, finding it a bit of a slow morning, a slow start. Piper, thanks for your comment. Happy you're getting into birding as well and enjoying that. Yeah, bird life is phenomenal. And in the absence of large, high-profile sightings, as we do encounter from time to time out on safari, if you've got an interest in the smaller things, things like bird life, butterflies, plants, even very subtle things like animal tracks and animal sign, it'll never be a dull experience for you. If you can find interest and find joy in the sort of more holistic approach, this will always be an exciting experience. So I think now let's cross back over to James to see what he has to show us this morning.
Right, we've come to the hyena den where, well, there's not a huge amount going on. Here we've got an adult having a snooze, very unconcernedly in front of the den, and then plugging a hole, possibly suckling her babies. We think we have Ndebele. I mean, I've no doubt there are some of you who could identify that hyena from the view we've given you, and, well, that would be most impressive. A lot of you saying that you think that that leopardess and cub track could be Kuchava's. That certainly makes some sense to me, although she is often a little bit further towards the east. I met that cub in October last year. It was very special, in the rain. And so, yes, I think that's a good possibility. Looks about the right size. And sadly, somebody has actually just seen a leopard moving into a reserve to the south of us called Little Gowrie. And so I don't think we're going to catch up necessarily with those kitties. But we can keep trying.
We protect and reconnect nature across southern Africa. We bring countries together to care for wild spaces that stretch beyond borders. We protect and restore biodiversity. We prioritize the people living in these landscapes, enabling them to thrive in harmony with nature. We are restoring tomorrow.
So very relaxing, especially if you've had an early morning. Possibly, I mean, so relaxing I could pass out. Hello, baby hyena. You say this is your favourite place to be. That's not very surprising that you would find this your favourite place to be. I'm glad it's your favourite place to be. Yeah, we'll hang around here for a little bit. And then we'll see. I think somebody's hailing me on the radio. Hang on. Last station, go again. No, nothing. So we'll just wait and see if Ndebele's... No, there we go. Go ahead, go ahead.
Item 4, do you mind if I take a standby behind you there? I'm just going to jigger in the block.
Copy. The game drive radio, in case you have not realized it, can be the most irritating thing in the world, but is completely necessary because we have to hear what's going on elsewhere, and we also have to help give updates about what's going on. Otherwise, things would be a lot more difficult than they are. Anyway, as I was trying to say, we're going to wait and see for a little while if Ndebele's little babies don't come out after they've had their feed. Dancing chat, you want to know if hyenas have long necks? Not especially, no. They don't have especially long necks. What is interesting about their structure, possibly more so than the length of their necks, is the point at which the center of mass rests. And if you watch a hyena stand up, they've beautifully positioned, equally weighted kind of over the shoulder. And some animals aren't like that. An impala and a zebra come to mind, but a hyena is beautifully weighted over the shoulder, and it means that it's easy for them to pull and kind of, I suppose, also bite by dropping the back and using their weight to tear and pull and, grip. Once they've gripped with their jaws, it's just very effective in helping them to do what they need to do with their jaws. And that's not necessarily that common in animals. You see it in wildebeest, which it helps them to, it gives them a very kind of efficient gait. And hyenas especially. So not an especially long neck, but they do have this very equal distribution of weight either side of the shoulders, which helps them when they're fighting over food or biting something or pulling it. I hope that answers your question. If it does not, feel free to send through another one. Hello, Hunter. You're just 7 years old and you want to know how far back the hyena dens go. Well, it depends really on the size of the termite mound. I don't know if you know this, but the parents don't actually help create the dens. They give birth inside the hole, and then the cubs kind of design their own bedrooms. So imagine you were allowed to design your own bedroom entirely without the help of your parents. That's exactly what these hyenas do. Sometimes they can go pretty deep, and on a termite mound this size, you'd find a tunnel starting where Ndebele is lying now and popping out the other side. It also depends how often they've been used. So if this is a very new den and it's only been used once, then you'll find that it'll be quite shallow. But the more frequently it's used, the deeper it will become over the years. So that's a very good question.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Right, I don't think we're going to hang around here for too much longer. We'll probably head towards the central regions of the reserve. Apparently, Tristan has been suspicious that the Wig family, the spotted eagle owls, may be getting ready to nest again, so we can go and have a look around there. Thank you, James Richard, for the tip. But I would have thought this was the wrong time of year, but let's go and have a look there anyway. Very peaceful now at the hyena den. So peaceful that I may drop off. This looks like a male to me. But my ability to identify animals is very poor. So I don't know if this is a recognizable female or a male, but I think it's a male. Right, Liam, I think, has probably got some good news for you, so I suggest you head across to him forthwith.
So what a nice sighting of all of the hyenas there with James this morning. Always a great way to start the day, and especially now that many of those characters have got their names, it's cool to be establishing even more of a relationship with them. So we have heard a little bit of an update from the Hyena Road area, so we are backtracking back into the area that we were scratching around in, and we won't give away the surprise just yet, but let's bumble into that area, see what we can see. Yeah, it's turning into a nice morning out in the bush. What a pleasure. I'm very happy to be back. I'm very sorry. I heard the first half of Anna Marie's question there, but I didn't get the detail. My favorite what? Sorry. Could you repeat that, please, main control? My favorite reptile. Anna Marie, thanks very much for your question. That is an extremely good question. I would find it very difficult to choose a favorite. is a reptile community that is so varied. If you look at members of the family, tortoises, terrapins, sea turtles, snakes, lizards, chameleons, crocodiles, my word. I would have to say, I think the flap-necked chameleon is a big favorite. You might have to let me pick a top three. I'd say a flap-necked chameleon, the leopard tortoise, and potentially something like the southern African python for a snake. Very, very difficult though. It's a bit like asking a kid in a candy shop to pick the best one. There's just too many options. Too many options. Thanks for your question, Anna-Marie. I've been nuts about reptiles my entire life. And while this is not the greatest time of year to view things like snakes and lizards in particular, there are still sightings of them out there. I was at home 3 or 4 days ago, something like that. I sat outside having a cup of tea in a sunny spot, and I actually had a twig snake, an extremely venomous species, flop down out of the tree next to me with a little dwarf gecko in its mouth. And this snake proceeded to eat this gecko just like 3 or 4 feet from me. I filmed quite a cool time lapse of the whole process. It took maybe 3 or 4 minutes to swallow the little lizard, but obviously in that time lapse footage on your phone, it's just a couple of seconds. I put it up on my social media. It's quite cool on Instagram. So just making our way up Twin Dams Road now. We'll take a turn turn up Hyena Road shortly and try and get into the area once again.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwise Field Guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
I was just speaking to Panda a little bit earlier about Lennon, good morning. Thanks for that snake-related question this morning. You've asked, is it harder to see snakes in the winter? And it certainly is. In places like America, maybe places like Europe, where it does get very very cold in the winter. In areas where you get snow falling, stuff like that, you'll have many species of snake actually going into proper hibernation, where they go into like hollow logs or holes in the ground, things like that, and actually basically go to sleep for maybe as much as 3 or 4 months at a time. Now, our snakes here in the Sabi Sand, in the kind of Juma area, don't really go into hibernation. They don't really completely stop, but certainly their activity is much less at this time of the year. So you could still arguably potentially see any number of different snakes, but you are much less likely to see them active. They don't do so much eating at this time of year. They are just occasionally coming out to bask for a bit of sun, and then going back into holes in the ground, holes in trees. Things like tortoises in our area are pretty much dormant at this time of year. We get a leopard tortoise which gets about the size of a soccer ball, quite a big tortoise, and they will often go into things like, aardvark holes, and basically stay underground for 2-3 months at a time. They are an incredible family, which has amazing capabilities for going long periods without food, without water, potentially years at a time. Anyway, thank you very much for your question. I think let's head back over to James while Panda and myself get ourselves sorted in this area. Let's see what James is up to now that he's left the hyena den.
We are now going to resort to a plant segment on account of the fact that we cannot find any animals. This is the thing with plants. Why am I stuck in the vehicle? Oh, my mic pack. Okay, I'm out now. My mic pack remained behind. And I managed to maintain my sense of humor, which is very good, I think. As I was saying, plants don't run away. They're always here. Now, this is something we don't see very often, and that is the fruits that occur on this Gymnosporia buxifolia, or common spikethorn. And one shouldn't taste too many fruits out here. I don't think these are toxic, though. I'm just kidding. I didn't, in fact, die. The fruit is entirely tasteless. Yeah, completely without taste. You really shouldn't go around. If you are a youngster, in fact, even if you're older, please don't go into the bush and start eating plants you don't recognize, because you might find yourself dead. But this is Gymnosporia buxifolia, the common spike thorn, and it's got some red fruits. That's all I have to say about that.
Hello everyone from sunny Namibia. My name is Cameron Pierce, and this year I'll be representing Ongava Game Reserve at the Safari Guide of the Year 2022 edition. You know, a lot of people have asked me what it would be like to win the competition, and it would obviously be an incredible privilege, but even just to be selected as one of the 5 finalists is an honor that I never expected, and special to be a part of it for this year.
My name's Liam Henderson. I'm a guide at the Homestead Lodge on Nambiti Private Game Reserve in KwaZulu-Natal. I think Safari Guide of the Year is a great competition to be a part of. I'm somewhat nervous for the tracking part of the competition, as being in KZN now, I haven't been exposed to the low-felt animals and tracks and signs that are so apparent up there.
Just brushing off soil from where I died, as you saw me die there. Miraculously resurrected. We'll go into the riverbed and see what we can find there as the weather becomes more and more blustery, and therefore we're more likely to find animals sheltering like we would as human beings in thicker bush. All right, let's go 70 kilometers to the west to where Chris is wandering about on Pridelands and see if the weather's any better over there.
Buffaloes are playing and seek with us today, but at least we are still on a track. We still got the trail. So the road where we found those previous tracks, other side of this block north of us, so obviously now the tracks have come out and now it's pointing back in an southeastern direction. All right, but it's pretty much them. We've followed those tracks for quite some time. You can see the candy coating is now starting to harden a bit. We've got a bit of wind coming in now. It's miserable weather actually. You can see the buffalo track here. There's another one's track there. Size-wise, definitely big bulls, old dagga boys. So unfortunately with these guys, we can't really see in terms of species what they've eaten, because remember, buffaloes are ruminants. So with elephants, it's easy. They don't ruminate. They don't chew their food very finely, so you can see a lot of remains, undigested remains in their dung, and identify what they eat in terms of species, whereas buffaloes are bulk grazers. They eat all sorts of grass. So all I can tell you that's mostly grass. But being ruminants, like cows, they chew initially, swallow it goes to the big stomach, the rumen, and then those bits that are not finely chewed will float. And they will ruminate, so they'll, through peristalsis, they'll bring it up back into the mouth to re-chew it again. So once finely chewed, it goes back to the rumen. Kevin says it's mind-blowing how much dung can tell us. Indeed, Kevin, and like I said, once they swallow that again, so now it's finely chewed, after they chewed the cud, it will absorb more fluids and it'll go down to the bottom of the rumen, the stomach, the big first stomach, and then go through to the rest of the digestive tract. And that's how animals that ruminate, the four-chambered stomach or four-particled stomach animals, digest. And therefore you can see the matter inside is very finely chewed, tiny little pieces of grass. And if you look at cattle dung, it's near identical. It's almost impossible to tell them apart. Okay, we're going to continue to see if we can't find these boys. But I reckon we should head over to Liam, who's managed to find something very exciting.
So, what a welcome back to the Sabi Sands. I'm so happy to be back out here on drive, celebrating in style. I don't know if you can make it out through the vegetation there, but a certain spotted form. We have the Tlalamba female leopard. So very, very difficult. You just see a bit of movement. Her and the cubs are here off of Hyena Road in some very, very long grass. But with any luck, as soon as the vehicle that is in here, the vehicle that called us in, moves out, we'll be able to improve that view for you somewhat. For now, I hope you've got a strong imagination.
I've got your visual, just a little bit forward, you can see me to your east. And then I'll point out quickly to you where they are. It's a little bit difficult, but I'm sure we can make it.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Shreyas, happy to hear you say that any view is a good view. Absolutely. We are not fussy. It would be great. It's always great, should I rather say, to see a leopard. Yeah, and my first morning back as well. What a pleasure. As I say, as soon as the vehicle that is in the sighting already moves out, I think we will get a slightly more prime spot there. I think the view is difficult, regardless of where you are sat, but wonderful just to be sat with them. And on such a nice, cloudy, cool, overcast morning, there's always the opportunity for a bit more activity. If it was a baking hot morning with the sun cooking the environment, we would expect the leopards to be fast asleep. But I believe we're all head up, all quite active. Maybe we get a bit of movement into a spot where we can view them a little bit easier. That is really quite a challenging task for Panda there to try and get the camera all the way in. Oh, we've got a bit of movement. I think that's one of the youngsters materializing out of the grass there. Head up. Brilliant. Incredible to see them tucked so perfectly into this long grass.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwise Field Guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
This youngster moving out a little bit, maybe we get lucky. Could quite possibly pop out into the gap behind us with some luck. This is the perfect spot for these guys to kind of shelter from a bit of a cool breeze on this slightly cloudy, chilly day. There we go. So I think the individual that Panda's got framed up, that looks like Tlalamba to me. I think she's listening out to the audio of those lions much further south of us. They're not at any distance where they would pose a danger to mom and cubs. But something in her instinct, something in any leopard's instinct, when it hears the sound of a lion, probably sends a shiver down that spine. Melody, Panda appreciates your feedback there. He is certainly doing everything he can, and a mighty skilled job, I might add, at framing up under challenging conditions. Ah, there she comes. Brilliant. As I said, on a cloudy and overcast day, more activity is almost guaranteed. Popping out right behind us. We'll just wait to see what Mom is actually up to before we try and reposition. Mom and both cubs on the move now, hopefully up onto the termite mound close to us, but let's just see. They are going around. How's it? Always trying to reduce disturbance to sightings by letting one vehicle's engine run at a time. When that car settles, I will reposition. I hope he's going to switch off soon. There he goes.
My name is Nico Brits. I am originally from Cape Town. I worked in the Eastern Cape for about 9 years before I started working at Bushwise Field Guides in the Lowveld, close to Makalali Private Game Reserve. So I'm hoping that by doing this could inspire the younger or newer guides coming into the industry to do the same.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruvan Groble. I'm from Lion Game Reserve, and being nominated for the Safari Guide of the Year came as somewhat of a surprise to me. I was very excited and quite nervous as well in the beginning to tackle this task, but it's quite a prestigious event, and it means that you are recognized and I'm quite happy to be recognized. It means quite a lot to me.
So, looks like mum and cubs are up and on the move again. I can just see one youngster moving through this thick vegetation. I'm sure all three are together. So Panda and I are not in any great hurry to head anywhere for the moment. We're going to do our very best to stay with Tlalamba and cubs. But I think maybe head over to James, or potentially not. Let's stay with Tlalamba and cubs. So that's one of the youngsters who settled again in another patch. Quite a grassy patch, just having a bit of a groom. I'm sure mom and brother are also here. Yeah, we've done our very best to off-road as ethically as we can and come in gently. Don't approach animals directly, essentially not driving the Land Rover straight up to them. And it tends to produce quite beautiful results. Yeah, we sow seeds of trust with these animals, treating them with that respect. We get the respect back in spades. We also have enormous responsibility to be as ethical as we can in terms of our movement, especially off the road. So we will try and make our way into sightings and around animals that are way off of the road as gently as we can. James Richard, thanks very much for your comment. I did chat to James around the Land Rover this morning, and he said to me that if we located on Tlalamba and cubs, he would be making his way into this area at some stage to have a look. I take it he's quite eager, quite eager to have a visual of her. She is my favorite. Yeah, Tuma's leading leopardess, to be sure. I think this individual that we're actually framed up on is the female cub. It'll be easier to tell when she focuses her face on us, perhaps after bath time. It certainly appears to be the smaller of the two youngsters. So it makes sense that it would be the female. I think some of you at home are thinking this is Tlalamba's son. We'll have confirmation on that when it does look at us. It is her son, absolutely. I will never forget Columba's female cub has a marking above her right eye that looks a little bit like a butterfly, to me at least. That's always a quick reference for me when checking these two cubs out. You are quite right. It is the male. Somebody on one of the other vehicles said something about them potentially having a kill, though I have my doubts. I don't think they're actually on a carcass, since we've had a bit of movement with them. A nice scratch there. William, you've asked how often we see new leopards within the reserve, and that's a great question. So being an open system, essentially open to the greater Kruger National Park and many of the adjoining private reserves, it's basically a roll of the dice. We just never know what we're going to get. And we could get a new individual leopard, a new individual lion, animals, individuals and characters that we have never seen before at any moment. It's one of the things that has always attracted me to working in a free open system such as this. That's why it is so much more exciting to be out on a safari in a place like this, as opposed to a reserve that is smaller and fenced in on all sides. Yeah, we just never know what we're going to see. Oh, he's up. Heading back down into the dip, probably towards mom and sister. But we will see what happens from there. So we've got no view on any of the three at the moment. But we're going to keep trying, putting as little pressure on these leopards as we can, but to try and get a good view at the same time.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
So I've heard somebody in the vehicle on the other side of the sighting say the word bamba, which means kill. So I wonder maybe they do have a carcass under these bushes somewhere. We've got one electric vehicle just repositioning here. So we'll let them find their spot, and then we'll attempt to find a spot for ourselves as well. While we try and get ourselves sorted and into a prime position, I think let's cross back over to fellow naturalist James to see how his morning is treating him.
Here we have got a fascinating plant, the kind of plant that will be much more fascinating than a leopardess, 2 cubs and a kill. For this plant feels Sandpaper. It is the sandpaper bush, Erita amina. Thank you very much. It grows on termite mounds normally, and it really does have a very sandpapery texture to it. I'm actually just doubting myself quietly here because it's not quite as sandpapery as many of the others that I've felt, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. Erita amina, the sandpaper bush. We'll just have a look at it while Liam repositions at a sighting that's making me very jealous in my heart. You can possibly see the little sandpapery ridges sticking out as the sun makes a valiant attempt to break through the clouds. And that's all I have to say about that particular tree. You can't use it for sandpaper because it's not quite sandpapery enough. It's very unpleasant on the tongue, very unpleasant taste, very unpleasant texture. And that's why it's sandpapery, I suspect. There are a few different plants that make that sort of sandpapery texture on top, and that's to protect them from being eaten. Fascinating. Linda, yes, all, if I'm not mistaken, all dicotyledons, so that's most of the flowering plants, do produce a fruit of some description. It won't be like a peach or an apple necessarily, but it will be a fruit of some sort. Sometimes it's very inconspicuous, but most will produce some kind of fruit. I'm not sure if absolutely everyone does, but I think that they probably in one way or another do. So I mean, here's a nice example. That would be described as a fruit. That's the fruit of Combretum herreriense, or the russet bush willow. But it's not a fruit like an apple or a pear or an orange or a plum or indeed a berry. But it is a fruit with the seed inside it. And fruits are normally something like... fruits are normally...
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwise Field Guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
We did make an attempt to follow those, or sort of see if there's Gutshava, what were probably Gutshava's tracks, if they came out in this region, but they did not. So I'm sure she must be somewhere, I think south of our boundary. But we'll keep trawling around here. Let's see what other great wonders there are on offer. Plenty of hyena activity, as you'd expect, on a reserve that has such a large hyena den, full of hyenas, really, full of youngsters and adults, that's what I was trying to say. Okay, I think let's go back to Liam, who seems to have managed to reposition his vehicle for a better view of the leopards.
Going okay. So this vehicle is just moving out to give us a little bit of a gap. Very nice. We have established that our little leopard family has managed to kill what looks like a nyala. Oh, we've got a cub out in the open in front of us here. A little bit unsure about the vehicle moving, but hopefully he or she settles there. Ah, brilliant. Brilliant. So yeah, well, there's no visual on the nyala from where we are sat. Sat at this very moment, it looks like maybe a half-grown female nyala. So hopefully that means that our little leopard family is going to stick around here. Brilliant. Now that all the vehicles are switched off, this cub relaxing beautifully. African samurai, I hope I've heard your question properly there. You've asked, at what age do leopards, young leopards, start following their mother? I hope you asked start. So they probably start following mom from the age of about 3 months. But again, she's leaving them for quite long periods of time. Okay, you've asked stop following their moms. At what age do they stop following their moms? They stop following their moms around independence, which for females is earlier. A female will probably become independent from mom around about a year of age, maybe around 14 months. Males tend to be a bit longer, about a year and a half. The males seem to be a bit more reliant on handouts, free meals. There's a duiker, there's a small antelope in the sighting. The cubs have seen it. I don't know if mom has, though. Mom is tucked into the bush. We'll see if the duiker moves. If the duiker moves again, okay, Talamba has seen it. Talamba has seen it. She's looping around. She may well try.
My name is Solomon Lovu. I am working at Kruger National Park. I am very excited today to be one of the guys that have been nominated or selected to participate in the Safari Guide of the Year. I'm an activator. I like studying something, motivating others to become better. I am positive. I like to focus on the positive sides of the situation.
Here at WildEarth, we promised great monthly prizes for our explorers, and this month is no exception. If you join our club before the 10th of July, then you stand a chance to win a fabulous Safari Guide online course brought to you by Bushwise Field Guides. They specialize in accredited safari guide training with courses tailored for the African safari lodge industry. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer today and don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
So I believe the male cub can still see this little antelope, and Tlalamba has looped around to the other side. One of the vehicles is moving. That's unfortunate. We've got to be extremely sensitive in these sort of situations to do our very best not to sway the odds in either party's favor, to not give the benefit to either the leopard or the antelope. You want to just let nature take its course. That cub totally fixated on that little antelope, which I'm sure is frozen solid, standing dead still in there somewhere. That often seems to be the survival strategy of these small antelope, to dive into thick cover and then just stand dead still. If the jig is up and they do realize they're spotted, they'll try and run. But best hope for survival is to stand still and hope not to be noticed. Nathan, absolutely. A large amount of the behavior needed to kill successfully is hard-coded. That's just instinctive. But it would be very, very useful for these cubs to watch mum on the hunt, to use her experience to refine their own skills on the hunt. I have lost visual of Tlalamba, but that's a good thing. Hopefully, that means she's lining up nicely for a perfect ambush on that little duiker. Oh, the cub is shifting. He's looping around. You've heard the expression leopard crawl. He may well try and have a go at this duiker himself. Phenomenal at such a young age to see him trying the hunt for himself. The wind picking up, that's great cover. Helps to mask the scent of the leopard and muffle the sound of its footsteps. This is a really critical moment. We wouldn't want to move the Land Rover now. We are just going to sit dead still and see what happens. How exciting. The duiker is no pushover. It's an unbelievably fast little antelope with keen senses of smell, sight and hearing. And if it is a male, it's got 2 razor-sharp horns, which could quite easily do some serious damage to a young, inexperienced leopard. Best handled with care. But probably the perfect sized prey item for these cubs to begin trying to hone their senses, their killing techniques on. This is a game of patience. Someone's got to move. Whether it's the leopard or the duiker, that could mean the difference between life or death for that little antelope. The cub actually looks like it might be kind of steadying up to pounce. I don't know. One wrong move at this point and it could go either way. That cub's entire body is tensed like a coiled spring. Looks like it could explode forward at any moment. If that duiker takes another step to the right, then we may very well have the first kill for this young cub on camera.
Good morning, Neil. Sorry. Yeah. We have a number with the 2 cubs unkilled. Hyena Road North, quite close to the Douglaston boundary. Come down Hyena Road.
Panda's just pointed out the female cub, the smaller of the 2, who's just emerged from the vegetation on the far left. I think she's pretty unaware of the presence of that duiker. She could well flush this little antelope right into the jaws of her mother and brother, or ruin the hunt altogether. Who knows? Honey Boo, thanks very much. The suspense is also toe-curling for us as well. So exciting. I am so happy to be back out here. What an unbelievable start to my latest stint at WildEarth. Oh, got it. Let me just try and pull forward a bit. Panda, how are you doing there? Forward. Panda, you got it. And right there, the male cub has captured this duiker. We're just going to sit quietly and listen. A brutal thing to have happen, but an incredible thing to watch, ladies and gents. We take no pleasure in the animal losing its life, but an unbelievable show of leopard behavior here. Mom handing over control to the young male. The young male cub giving him the opportunity to hunt. Oh, the duiker is up. We are so privileged, everybody. This duiker absolutely fighting for its life as the young male cub attempts to get a good grip on its windpipe. A shocking thing to witness, but the most phenomenal display of incredible mothering by Tlalamba, literally giving the opportunity to make this kill to her cubs, giving them the chance to refine those instincts. Watching over, there is an element of risk here, though. Obviously, the young male does not have the skill to make that crushing bite just yet. And the antelope is making a whole lot of noise, as I'm sure you can hear. And that could be attracting hyenas in, or potentially even another leopard. I wonder how long Mum is going to let this go on before she steps in to deliver that killing bite. There Mum goes. Tlalamba intervening, dragging that carcass. A disclaimer once again to any sensitive viewers, this kill is a kind of a bit of a prolonged experience. If you are of the sort of more faint of heart, perhaps a good time to tune away. This is nature in its rarest and most raw form. But it is undoubtedly brutal, totally brutal. Once again, we take no pleasure in watching an animal die, but a thrilling and exquisite view into one of the most private chapters of a leopard's life. That male cub doing his absolute best to get control of the duiker. The female not so sure. Oh my word, what an incredible thing to see. such a sad little bleat from that duiker. Come on, Tlalamba. Yeah. Tlalamba has it by the throat. She's stepped in, she's grabbed this little duiker by the throat. I'm hoping she's going to finish it off, stop all of that screaming and give this animal as efficient an end to its life as is possible. Mom has taken over. Tlalamba has finished it off. A couple of moments and that duiker's life will be over. Now, for me as a guide working in the Sabi Sands for easily the last 8 years, I have never ever witnessed a female leopard giving the reins over to a cub like that. Unbelievable. It's always behavior I had read about and certainly been told about, but never behavior that I viewed for myself. Tlalamba very effectively compressing its windpipe and even restricting the flow of blood to the brain. That struggle of that duiker will be over in seconds. Unbelievable. Male cub still hanging on at the back there. Excellent practice for these cubs to get kind of a hands-on go at killing. Again, behavior that they've got instinctively hard-coded in their brains, but behavior that has to be refined. They don't need to be taught to hunt and kill. The instinct to pounce and stalk and bite and chase and those sort of things, that's all there. But in order to do it effectively, that takes practice. Unbelievable. And there's the skill of Tlalamba as an incredible, incredible mum to make that judgment call. It's obviously such valuable experience for these cubs to be able to kind of practice on a living thing. But how far must she take it? If she lets that animal cry for minutes and minutes and minutes on end, it will essentially call in all of her enemies from all directions. Still a few kicks and throws from that duiker, but the life is pretty much drained from its body. This kill is over. It took the skill of Tlalamba. This is a kill that she's made hundreds, if not thousands of times before, to grab it in exactly the right place on its neck and finish it off quietly and efficiently, as is the definition of a leopard on the hunt. Panda, have you seen a leopard make a kill before?
This is my first time.
So that's Panda's first time to actually see a leopard actively on the hunt making a kill. It's extremely, extremely rare. Virginia, we are so happy to hear that you found that as amazing as we did. I think a lot of first-time kill viewers out there. Unbelievable. And that's the magic of a safari. You just never know what's going to happen. Kalamba catching her breath there, that was a lot of excitement. Brutal. Again, we take no pleasure in the loss of animal life like that, and I think it's important to show as much respect as we can to the animal which has, right before our very eyes, made the ultimate sacrifice. But if you view it from the leopard's perspective, that is a huge success. What an unbelievable sighting. While not the first time I have viewed a leopard killing something, it is the first time on Juma that I've had this sighting. Very, very, very special. Even more special that it's with my favorite leopard female, the incredible Tlalamba.
We protect and reconnect nature across southern Africa. We bring countries together to care for wild spaces that stretch beyond borders. We protect and restore biodiversity. We prioritize the people living in these landscapes, enabling them to thrive in harmony with nature. We are restoring tomorrow.
Bruce, thanks for your comment there. Certainly our princess, or now I think our queen. An unbelievable view. We are so lucky this morning, and she's moving that carcass out. Followed by the male cub and the female.
Hold on. Take this. Baby.
Off to a safer spot in some thicker vegetation, I'm sure. Maybe she'll even hoist it. So the vehicle in front of us is just going to reposition slightly. I think try and get a view of wherever Tlalamba is taking that carcass. We will probably try and do the same thing.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
So Tlalamba is in the clump of vegetation just off to our left somewhere. She does appear to have stopped. I wonder if she won't try and hoist this little carcass. It is such a small antelope, she may even just attempt to feed on it with the cubs on the ground. Unreal, 2 kills in the same sighting. Obviously, just before Panda and myself had a view of the sort of sub-adult female nyala that she was feeding on. Leopards, being hugely opportunistic, will always capitalize on the opportunity to kill something else. It's an instinct that they just can't really repress.
Okay, Neil, go forward and go on northwest. I think I've got your audio. Yeah, Neil, she just made another kill here, so it's nice.
I'm seeing a bit of rustling, a bit of movement.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwise Field Guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
Yeah, Neil, so where we are, just to the front of the WildEarth vehicle, to our left side here, there must be somewhere here.
So we've got all 3 of these lovely leopards in the long grass. One of the cubs has just emerged in a slightly more open patch, but it looks like mum and the male cub have decided to lie down in the long grass, catch their breath a bit. An unbelievable sighting this morning. And we can't see the duiker anymore, the body of the little antelope that they have killed. I believe they've left that in the thicket. And yeah, actually fairly full bellies all round, I think, after feeding on that nyala a little bit earlier this morning. But they certainly won't let that duiker go to waste. They'll stash it off to the one side here, I'm sure. A testament to the skill of this incredible mum at raising a family, going above and beyond to provide for her young cubs and teach them the valuable lessons that they will soon need to make a go of life in this environment on their own. That is raw, real nature real wildlife. You'd be hard-pressed to see it better anywhere else. Unbelievable. Lisa, absolutely. I think Tlalamba took control of that sighting at exactly the right time. If she had let that little duiker bleat and bleat and bleat and bleat for another 2 or 3 minutes, we may very well have a different outcome here. Little male popping out into the open, perhaps off to sniff his sister out. A totally unbelievable experience.
Hello everyone from sunny Namibia. My name is Cameron Pierce and this year I'll be representing Ongava Game Reserve at the Safari Guide of the Year 2022 edition. You know, a lot of people have asked me what it would be like to win the competition, and it would obviously be an incredible privilege, but even just to be selected as one of the 5 finalists is an honor that I never expected, and special to be a part of it for this year.
My name's Liam Henderson. I'm a guide at the Homestead Lodge on Botany Private Game Reserve in KwaZulu-Natal. I think Safari Guide of the Year is a great competition to be a part of. I'm somewhat nervous for the tracking part of the competition, as being in KZN now, haven't been exposed to the low-felt animals and tracks and signs that are so apparent up there.
Both of these cubs kind of moving around a nice little ephemeral pan in this drainage line, a little seasonal pool of water. The perfect spot to settle for the day, enjoy a bit more meat and have plenty of access to drinking water. I think let's check in with James now, see how his morning is going. And perhaps we can catch up with you a little bit later on.
Well, I'm not sure that I can give you anything to compete with what you've just witnessed up on the northeastern regions of Djuma. I'm green with jealousy. I can't even look at the camera. I'm so green with jealousy. I mean, I think you'd probably get nauseous if you looked at my green pallor currently. We were looking at a striped kingfisher, which naturally absconded as you came live. It was sitting in that tree over there. Not a very common bird for this part of the world. Not entirely uncommon. Certainly more common than watching 3 leopards kill a duiker.
We know that there's nothing worse than just as your favorite leopard is about to catch his first meal in 3 days, you are on the edge of your seat and up pops an advert. But as you know, a life without advertising would mean a very boring evening when you arrive home from work. Because WildEarth and most other media companies rely on advertising in order to fund our content. But we want to let you know that we hear you. And to show you how much we care about your experience in nature, you can watch WildEarth without the ads. Sign up to be an explorer and watch the channel on the WildEarth website completely ad-free. Head over to our Explorer page to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
So most likely we've had Guchava and her cub come through here and head back into Little Gowrie south of us. Maybe they met up with Shasha. It's unlikely. Wouldn't have been very good for anyone concerned, I don't think. Just don't happen to be where I am currently. I'll see if I can show you these tracks. I mean, I know that you've been looking at an actual leopard, which is probably slightly more entertaining than the footprints of a leopard. Nevertheless, these are not unfresh either. I mean, I would have said that they were last night. Can you see here? There's the leopardess. And can't see a cub track here. Here's a cub track. It's a little bit far and a little bit difficult, but these are fresh. And somebody saw a leopard crossing our southern boundary at about, say, 7:15 this morning, 7:30, and I'm sure that that's who this was.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to bushwise field guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
It's a delicious smell. It smells like, it smells like strong lavender, basically. And its name has escaped me, but it'll come back to me sometime during the course of today. On we go. Let's go back to Liam and see if his leopards are going to kill something else just before breakfast.
The back and then called us in.
Because the one cub was at our camp last night.
No ways. That's amazing. So, sorry, we were just chatting to one of the other vehicles in the sighting here. Everybody very, very excited about all of this incredible leopard action out on drive this morning. Our male cub has gone flat in a bit of a crater created by elephant activity, I think. He has got a belly full of nyala, and after that exhilarating pounce and tackle and everything on that duiker, almost the same size as he is, he must be bushed, he's exhausted. Phenomenal behavior. Yeah, Panda and I are literally buzzing. Yeah, I hope nobody at home was too upset by that sighting. A duiker in particular is a little antelope that just makes the most devastating little sounds when it is actually attacked by a predator. It's a very, very painful thing to have to listen to. But exquisite, and that is nature. That's how the natural world works. Top, I've heard your question there. If I'm not mistaken, when I was here about a month ago, everybody was saying these guys were 7 months old. So if my maths doesn't fail me, that makes them about 8 months old now. Perhaps a little bit more. Yeah, they are only babies. So for that male to have very much led the actual kind of pounce and kill, that was really something. He's already proving to be a serious character.
My name is Nico Brits. I am originally from Cape Town. I worked in the Eastern Cape for about 9 years before I started working at Bushwise Field Guides in the Lowveld, close to Makalali Private Game Reserve. So I'm hoping that by doing this could inspire the younger or newer guides coming into the industry to do the same.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruvan Groble. I'm from Sands Game Reserve, and being nominated for the Safari Guide of the Year came as somewhat of a surprise to me. I was very excited and quite nervous as well in the beginning to tackle this task, but it's quite a prestigious event, and it means that you are recognized, and I'm quite happy to be recognized. It means quite a lot to me.
Yeah, we are almost at the end of our slot for the show this morning. So thank you very much for tuning in and having a view with us this morning. We hope you'll be along for the drive this afternoon as well. Hopefully James can make his way through this sighting to have a bit of a follow-up. I will certainly leave a branch on the road for him so that he knows exactly where we've left them. And yeah, with some luck, we have a bit more activity this morning, or this afternoon rather. My goodness. Yeah, I think Panda and myself still trying to take in the excitement of everything that has sort of happened in front of us. It's going to take a couple of hours. That was unreal. Totally unreal. I can hear Tlalamba calling in the background there. She may be trying to encourage the cubs out of this long grass and back towards the Daco, which is tucked into a bit of a thicket further back. But in, I'd say about a minute, we're probably going to be leaving you, unfortunately. So we will have to pick up on this incredible little leopard family, the royal family of Djuma, a little bit later on this Savi. But from Panda and myself, and all of the other guys out on drive this morning, we'd like to thank you very, very much. Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this little voyage into the incredible, and yeah, with some luck, we would love to have you out on drive with us a little bit later this afternoon. So please don't forget to tune in for what will undoubtedly be another exciting, action-packed drive a little bit later this afternoon.
you.